Now, under a tight timeline, both the Moderna and the Pfizer vaccines have undergone some very rigorous studies. And some of those clinical trials were conducted right here on our first coast. As On Your Side's David Jones reports tonight, the results show that both vaccines are extremely effective and actually more similar than they are different.
And in both cases, really just absolutely spectacular results. These products work incredibly well.
Dr. Michael Koren is the principal investigator who oversaw two local trials for both the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines, dosing more than 750 people.
About 10 days after the first dose, people who are vaccinated had an extremely low rate of COVID infections after that 10-day period.
Both Pfizer and Moderna have been approved by the FDA for two doses. For Pfizer, the second dose is 21 days after the first. For Moderna, 28 days later.
The thinking is that we don't know how long that first dose protection will last if there's not a booster. So there will be some scientific debate about whether or not we could delay that second dose in order to provide more vaccine for first dose people.
But for now, two doses weeks apart is the norm. Koren adds the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines are more similar to each other than different.
In the studies, they're both equally effective, and the side effect profile is extremely similar between the two different products. So when people ask me which they should get, my answer is always whichever one you can get first.
Each using what's called messenger RNA platform,
which is basically a genetic code that tells our bodies to make the spike protein so that our immune system can see what the pathogen looks like and be prepared in case we actually get exposed to the virus.
For now, the primary focus is vaccinating healthcare workers and those in long-term care facilities. But even after you get vaccinated, Koren says it's still critical to wear a mask and social distance. Just because you're protected doesn't mean you can't spread the virus to others. David Jones, First Coast News, on your side.